Greetings, programs. Welcome to the Tron Lives podcast. I'm Day, aka Discs of Tron, and I'm joined again, as usual, by Reedz to talk about the newest entry into the Tron franchise, Tron Identity, developed by Bithell Games, released about a week and a half ago from when we're recording this. Should be about 2.5 weeks by the time this comes out, if I'm on top of editing. If not, I'm just going to leave this in anyway to just embarrass my future self, so that'll be fun. Yeah, Tron Identity. It's out. Quick background: if you didn't if you didn't listen to our D23 episode from September, we first heard about this game at the Disney Game Showcase at D23 2022. All we had was a little reveal trailer and an interview with Mike Bithell, the director and writer of the game, and CEO of the company, making it. So we didn't have too much, but the game is out, guys. The game is out, and it is so good. So good. It's $15. It's available both on Steam and on the Nintendo Switch. You should go get it. It's really good. And, I mean, it's Tron. What's not to love?
So grab some energy. And join us as we talk about Tron Identity, as well as a couple of other things, because April is indeed the month of Tron.
Theme song.
Well, good evening.
Good evening. Honestly, it'll probably be morning when we release this, but yes,
Or good morning,
good evening.
or whatever time zone that works. Time zone? Wow, I said it with an S. Oh well, okay. Anyways,
We're recording this late, so
yeah,
just ignore any slip
late
ups
at
on
night.
that. Cool,
Jet lag
cool.
is still getting me. I just got back from Chicago about 6 hours ago, or actually no, just a couple more hours ago. If y'all check my Twitter, I went to Chicago Game Space to check out their awesome Tron exhibit that was dedicated 40 years.
I saw your pictures.
You liked how I
Twitter.
tagged you because I thought it would be funny.
I
No,
did. It
I
made me
spent a
laugh.
couple of minutes talking to the owner, and I was all like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "I do this little podcast." And ironically, my co-host's namesake is that cabinet over there, and he laughed. But they had everything there.
Good.
I like completely forgot about Space Paranoids Online, so that was the one I didn't play. But they had all the they had the original Tron cabinet, the Discs of Tron cabinet that they brought over from Logan. They had the Intellivision and Atari games on the far left side. PS3 Evo, Battle Grids, 2.0 on Xbox. Yeah, I did play a little bit of it. PC is better. I do like a PC killer app way better. Just the movement and everything on like literally on Xbox version is like just super bulky, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. They also had the pinball machine from Legacy, and while the whole exhibit was running, they had the Legacy vinyl going, and then next to it was Paranoids Online, and above had the Flynn Rolling Stone cover. Yeah, they had a couple of other things too. They had one still from 82, as well as a couple of shots of scenes from 82 as well. They had some of the original Tron toys from 82 in there, as well as some of the newer Diamond Select, and then the Comic-Con exclusive Tron and good old Tron and Sark Funkos.
That's
Yeah, it was such an amazing time, and of course I got
Hey, so how long is this exhibit open?
Okay, so it's May 7th, but when I was talking to the owner, and don't quote me on this, just keep an eye on Chicago Game Space's social medias, just for some more things. Today, like as if we're recording, They got interviewed by WGN, which is the news reporter in news reporter network in Chicago. So they came in, did a whole thing about the Tron exhibit, and they also shoot, I forgot his name. I'm gonna pull my phone. Where's my phone? Okay, there it is. Because they also had somebody. Oh, he was the guy that did the light cycle sequence in '82. I need to go pull it real quickly because I did retweet it this morning, and the guy was telling me about it. Okay, so they had the recent tweet was from um one of the people from WGN TV came out to the exhibition, as well as the Tron Valley Midway artist George Gomez and the curation team for Chicago Game Space. So yeah, it was a really great time. I mean, if you're in the Chicago area, or if you're like me that found the cheapest ticket on Southwest Airlines to fly to Midway or to Chicago for the weekend and then fly back, definitely do that. Such a great experience. The owner's great. I mean, they not only just have the Tron exhibit, they have a lot of other retro games. Like I was with some friends and we played Mortal Kombat 2 in upstairs. So yeah, definitely go visit Chicago Game Space. It is such an awesome time, and definitely get there before May 7th. But yeah, that was it was definitely a fun trip.
So
Did had
that trip
some
sounds
ramen.
awesome. Yeah, you guys should get there ASAP. I didn't get to go, but I got to see Reedz' Twitter coverage, and it seemed
Yeah.
really epic, and I wished I could have been there.
Southwest had that fly a friend for free, and I remember DM'd you. I was all like, "Hey,
You did.
you want to
You
fly
did.
for the week?"
But as cool as that is, we have new Tron tent, boys and girls and everyone listening. Um,
All of our friends.
we have it. It's here. It exists. We have new lore. We have new characters. We have a new grid. So let's just get into Tron Identity. I guess
Oh,
for
hey,
once
it's
one of our spoiler warnings will actually be relevant. We are going very in depth on spoilers for Identity in this video, in this episode. This is your warning for that. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you can't play the game yet, I suggest you leave now. Come back when you can. When you've played it, or if you're comfortable with spoilers, because we will be talking about our separate playthroughs of the game and our repeat playthroughs, because this is a very replayable game. Um, so
Yeah,
there's your
just
warning. You
feel free to
have
pause
5 seconds to leave. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, cool. So I'm just kidding. This
Yeah,
isn't gonna be
we're
like
just
the 2.0 or the Evo ones where I just like spit out spoilers. I'm not doing that. Not yet. We're gonna build to it. But I still suggest leaving if you haven't yet for some reason. I guess you're just praying to get D-Res just like Ada over there, depending on how you play through the game. Um there you go. There's a
I
casual
dropped the
spoiler drop.
spoiler.
Um so this game does not take place on either of the two grids that we have seen before. We had the NCOM system in the 1982 film. We have Flynn's grid, also called the Tron system, in Legacy and Uprising and Evolution and Runner, even though it's not canon. Um, this game takes place in what we know now as the Arc grid. That is Arc ARQ because Tron is cool and spells things fancy. It is a grid that was made by Flynn at some point before Betrayal and Evolution and the best line in the franchise of his um before Clue trapped him inside the other system. And he made this one as like a haven for some ISOs because Clue was starting to get a little genocide. If you've watched Legacy or played Evolution or watched Uprising or read Betrayal, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, because Flynn got stuck in the other grid, the Arc grid has been untouched by users for when the game picks up, approximately 2,000 cycles, so about 2,000 years inside the grid, without user intervention or anything. So, maybe wondering, what does that mean for these ISOs? Well, they've split into a bunch of factions. We only know of 3 of them. I imagine that there's more. I hope there's more. But so we have Core, which is honestly kind of similar to the Occupation TBH, even their color scheme, which I'm sure Reedz was very happy about.
Yes.
We have the Automata, which we'll get to in a minute, and then we have the Disciples of Tron, which TBH don't really follow Tron's ideology all that great, but there's an attempt, and we'll take that. We play as Query, a disciple of Tron, who is also a detective. Ooh, fancy film noir type thing. He's cool.
Yeah.
He gets called into this place called the Repository, which is basically just a collection of vaults and data and a bunch of stuff that Core doesn't really want getting out to all the other ISOs on the grid. So it's all very private. But there was an explosion in one of the vaults. So the head of the repository, Prinz, called in Query to figure out what's going on. So the first character we meet in the game is Grish. He's cool. He's kind of grizzled, old. He's a war veteran. He's a security program.
Grizzled?
Look, leave
No,
me
no,
alone.
no, no. Is that the grid slang for just old? Can we make that a thing? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, sure, why not? He's the first person Query meets, and based on the player's choices as Query, Grish will either help you out or he will despise you with every ounce of his being. And all of the playthroughs I have done, there's not really been much of an in between. You either get off on the right foot and stay on the right foot, you get off on the right foot and then screw it up later, or you just screw it up from the beginning. There's very
That's a
few happy
program that
endings in this
carries.
game, by the way.
He carries a ton of salt, and if you don't mess up, he will eat the salt at you
Characters in this game are
via
super
anger.
sassy, and I love it.
Yes.
But you go up to Prinz, the head of the repository, like I said, his office with Grish, and Prinz very much believes in the user ideology. He has some fun Easter eggs in his office. We'll get to that in a minute. But he basically tasks Query with, he just tells him, yeah, so we have a suspect locked up in the library. We have a guard in the vault right now trying to figure out what's going on. Go do your detective thing, dude. That's your job. Go do it. So Query can then decide whether to go to the vault to talk to the guard or go to the library to talk to the prisoner. It does not matter which one you do first. I've done 5 playthroughs of the game. Has not changed what I've done. Does not change the plot depending on which way you go. But let's see. We'll go to the library first. That one's more fun. So you go to the library. You meet an ISO named Ada, not to be confused with the other ISO named Ada from Tron Uprising. They're 2 different characters, supposedly. I'm still inclined to believe that Flynn just Control-C, Control-V'd these ISOs over so that it can be the same Ada, but also I don't really care that much either way. But that's my headcanon because I think it's more fun that way.
Speaking of canon, guess what's also now canon?
Trees! That was creepy.
We got trees!
Yes, so Ada is the librarian of the data trees in the repository, and the game describes data trees as wild data that is sprouted up, and it just contains not memories per se, but also just literally memories and code of what happened there before. So Ada is basically in charge of refining that data and like editing it to fit Core's narrative, and just preserving it. So that's kind of neat. And at the time the explosion was going off, Ada was giving a tour to this program named Sierra. Sierra is part of the Automata faction of ISOs. And he is kind of epic because they're like double the height of regular programs. Like Sierra's humanoid, but his dialogue implies that most of the automata aren't, and I really want to see what that looks like. Are they just like amorphous blobs of zeros and ones, or
I mean, if they're as tall as Sierra, I mean, Flynn maybe built a basketball court for them.
or maybe Sierra's just an Uprising character. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he's got the build.
Uprising is on the arc grid. Plot
Ayo.
twist. But basically, Sierra was in the library with Ada when the explosion went off. So, Query can either be like, well, you could have triggered it remotely, or Query can be like, hey, so why didn't Grish or Ada, like, bring up the fact that you had an alibi? Sierra's like, because they hate me. Follow along, dude. Sierra is one of the characters with the most sass in this game, and I adore it. Well, it's not sass. The game calls it sarcasm, but it's sass.
We're calling it sass.
And then basically you're like, okay, cool, nice to meet you, buddy. And either you're nice to Sierra and he likes you, or you aren't nice to him and he hates you. Just depends how you're feeling that day. And then you go to the vault to talk to this program named Cass. And Cass is dressed as a guard but does not have any memory. They don't know what the heck is going on.
They must be protected at all costs. So I love Cass so much.
Yes, Cass must be protected at all costs. It's quite literally the point of like 3 out of the 5 endings I got. But Query can do this thing where he can defrag identity disks and like restore memories to the user, which by this point in the game you've already done for Grish and Prinz, because both of them are having memory loss as a result of the explosion. Apparently the library was immune, so you don't have to do it for Ada and Sierra. But it's this fun video game. It's a fun mini game inside the video game. Sorry. And you do it for Cass the most times out of any character throughout the game. And you start piecing things together, but you don't really get much on this first interaction. After that, you go up to Prinz's office again. You tell him what you're thinking. You're either like, Sierra did it, Sierra's innocent, Cass is kind of weird, or, I think it's Grish. And if you say, I think it's Grish, Prinz will be like, man, you're completely useless, aren't you? Him, what do you mean? Just because he's a jerk? And I think that that's funny. But at that time, Prinz gets a call from someone, and turns out there's a thief on the roof. And Prinz and Grish are gonna run away and tell Query to go deal with her. Her name is Proxy. She's pretty neat, has a cool character design. She's the other very sarcastic character in this game. She shows up on the roof and tells Query, yeah, I'm taking advantage of the explosion to steal something tonight. And apparently the Disciples of Tron have like a non-interference oath thing. So technically Query shouldn't make choices here. But one of the main tags on Steam for this game is choices matter. So you can guess how well that's going for him. And you ask her, well, what are you trying to take? And Proxy tells you that in the repository is supposedly a key that Flynn left behind that can give an ISO essentially user powers. So, understandable why she would want to steal it. And Query then makes the choice of either derezzing her or letting her on through. Up to which one you choose. We're gonna go with letting her in for now because it's more entertaining that way. Makes more plot things happen. But after that, you go back inside. Prinz and Grish are still gone, so you choose to either go back to the vault or the library. The library is the one that kind of continues it a little. Going back to the library, you learned that Ada has actually been releasing heavily edited packets of data out to the public for a while now without Core's knowledge, and she thinks that that's what got the repository on Proxy's radar in the first place. In his query, you either are like, no, that's not it, or yeah, why the heck would you do that? Um, just kidding. The dialogue options don't let you be this mean, but it kind of does.
If you like go the all mean route, it's actually
Depends what
pretty funny.
playthrough.
Some of the things that you get to do.
Yeah, but also at the same time, sometimes they're just like, ah, you're such a kidder, and it's like, no, I hate you.
That's why I did like
um,
the whole like, but if you like choose the whole like independent path with query, I mean, I saved that for like my latter runs because I just wanted to see what else I could do, and then I could go because there is an achievement if you like choose to like go alone.
yeah, there's a lot of achievements in this game for individual paths. To my knowledge, you cannot get all of them on one playthrough. Actually, no, I know for a
No,
fact you cannot get
you
every
can't.
achievement on one playthrough because one requires a character dying and another is for a deathless run. So, yeah. Sorry. But after talking with Ada, you go back, you talk to Sierra a bit more, and you get a choice. Either to let Sierra go because he's innocent, or to keep him there because you feel like it. Um, Ada judges you heavily no matter which way you do it. Um, she likes you more if you let him go, but she's still just like side eyeing
Mm-hmm.
you the whole time.
Just like my dog.
Um,
Literally.
just comparing
No,
you
that's
to
literally
a
what my
dog.
dog does. She gives me the side eye. The fact that you said that's literally what it reminded me of.
But um, we'll go with letting Sierra go for the moment because Grish's reaction to both letting Sierra go and letting Proxy in, he's just like, dude, are you trying to make my night
The
terrible?
salt is
Um,
building.
but if you let Sierra go, Sierra's like, okay, cool, I like you, Query. I'm not gonna be mad at you. But if you force him to stay imprisoned, it doesn't matter what kind of terms you were on with him, he's just gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Understandably.
So
So
Where Sierra
yeah.
goes, like where the automata are located, it's called the sprawl. So we get at least one location of one ISO faction of an ISO faction.
Yeah. Um but you go back to the vault, you do some more with Cass, and that's when you learn that Cass actually isn't a core guard. They don't know what they are, but they definitely are not a guard, and that they were in the vault when the explosion happened. Kind of weird.
And
Hmm,
they were
that's odd.
alone.
But then at that time, yeah, and that they were alone in the vault when the explosion went off. Um, and then at that time, you go back to the landing pad where you met up with Proxy earlier to find her holding a disc to Prince's throat. Apparently, she found whatever hiding place he was in, dragged him to the roof because she couldn't find the whole user power key thing, so she thinks Prince can lead her to it. And there are a couple of outcomes to this scenario where either you go to Drez Proxy, she tosses Prince in front of her as bait, and you accidentally Drez him, allowing her to escape. Or she just escapes and Prince survives. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple others. Those are just the two I've seen
Yeah,
thus
and
far.
then again, either like
Um,
whatever like decision you make, Grish is still mad at you because he's also there at the landing pad.
yeah, Grish comes in like halfway through the conversation. He's like, "This is all your fault, Query," and both of your dialogue options at that point basically equate to, "Do we even have time for this, dude? She's holding a disc to his throat. Do you really want to argue semantics right now?"
And Queer is just all like, we'll get him back. We'll find them. Oh, so before that whole scene in Prince, because we'll jump back to Prince's office because it's before the landing pad where
Yes.
so it's just Query, and you can actually go through Prince's stuff besides the coin and the record label or the movie. Like when Query is first introduced to Prince. But there's a couple of things. There Flint's jacket was there.
Yes, Flinge Jacket from 82. There's a computer manual for the arc grid. There's what else? What else? There's a handheld video game machine. Um there's other
There was
stuff, I promise. I just cannot
the
remember right now off the
dialogue
top of my head.
between
Um
the Dillingers.
oh yeah, there's a newspaper clipping talking about um it's an interview with Edward Dillinger, and he talks about his son in a, Killian Murphy's Edward Dillinger Jr. from his one whole scene in Tron Legacy. I sigh.
I'm
I
trying to
cry.
think,
Give me Killian Murphy in Tron 3,
is
you cowards.
Dillinger Sr. kind of like in jail at this point? I mean, he probably has been in there for a while.
Yeah, so our solution to this plot conundrum is either that interview is from before 82 and Dillinger Jr. is just a bit older than we thought, which is entirely possible because it mentions his helicopter. I think that's what it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
I remember the Encom helicopter.
But the user manual for the arc grid's computer um makes reference, like in Query's dialogue, it makes reference to what they call the mini grid theory, and basically just canonizes that programs see different grids as like kind of the multiverse, and I think that's really funny.
Write
um
that down. Write that down.
but Query gets really existential and stops like reading it.
It's like poor Query. Like his processors are just gonna freak out knowing all this knowledge.
Yeah. um There's a couple other things, but we'll save those for when you play the game. Hee hee hee. Um, but after the whole sequence on the landing platform, if you let Sierra go, Ada decides to go to the vault to, hang out with Cass and try and help them recover their memories. If you let Sierra stay, Ada just won't be there.
Yeah, she'll
Um,
just
Either
be
way, you go back to the
Ada
library.
will
There's
just be
nothing to do.
very mad at you.
So you head to the vault. Yeah. So you head to the vault, you defrag Cass's disc one more time, where they remember what they are. They are an ISO with prophetic visions of the arc grid's end, because it was always meant to be temporary, so it's just gonna shut down on its own in approximately 300 cycles or so. And every time Cass realizes this, they explode. If Ada is there, Ada will get caught in the explosion and will
Even
die.
if you try to tell her it's not safe,
Um,
she'll still run towards Cass and Ada will do res, no matter what.
yeah. So, meaning her deathless friend, you gotta keep Sierra locked up, which kind of sucks. But, keeps Ada alive. So, you cut your losses. Um, then
Lobby.
the words. And then this is where many endings can unfold. But essentially all you need to know is that Cass caused the explosion. Um, which that is the answer to Query's conundrum. And then Query has about 1 billion ethical dilemmas before the end of the story, depending on how you play it. That's kind of fun. But there is a lot of lore we did not cover. Proxy and Gresh fought together in a war, apparently. There's a lot of stuff. You can read that in the game. We will also probably make a couple videos covering it. I know we have one in the pipeline about Yalstron theories, so we'll be sending out the link to
Oh yeah,
submit
2.
those soon.
Tron Theories
Hopefully.
2.0. Hold the Beck is not Rensler, please.
Yeah. They're gonna post it anyway. They always do.
Unfortunately, I do want to say, I think one of
Unfortunately.
so the scene before we get back to the landing pad, when we go to the lobby, Grish gets a little, the salt is out. Grish is angry. Basically, Query escapes on the elevator, and I love how you could even do a mean gesture, and I'm just sitting here like, I was just sitting here like,
I
oh my
saw that.
gosh, Bithell, like what? How did
Query not holding
I'm just
back?
sitting here like, what? And then I was all like, what did Query pick up from Flynn? Because like my favorite little detail was the whole knock on the sky and listen to the sound when Query first meets Ada. So that there's a lot of possible theories that maybe some of them have interacted with Flynn, or some of Flynn's dialogue has kind of carried over to the arc.
Like one theory I have that I'll just pitch now. We know that there were 8 founder ISOs, at least 8, when Flynn created the arc grid, which leads me to believe that there are probably 8 factions of ISOs, each spun off from one of those founders. Just my headcanon until proven wrong, because we know that Bithell is working on more Tron games, boys and girls, and everyone, the audience watching.
Like it's so exciting. I'm just in here like, and all of us in the community are like,
they announced it the day the game came out, and I played it, and I was like, let's go, we're getting more.
I'm so excited. And the fact with they're all ISOs, and I'm just wondering, will Sam find out about the arc, and then Cora maybe takes a visit? Because I mean, I kind of want to see that, and the fact that she'll see more ISOs. Like, please.
I just want to explore more of this world. Like, we just got the repository, which is great. I just want more.
Yeah, I love how the administrator circuitry is red, because I'm just all like, okay. So I'm just all like, nope, there's no occupation.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool details. I'm very excited to see what Bithell has in store. I played a couple of their other games, and they're phenomenal. So, if they can even capture a fragment of what they've done with Identity in the next one, I'm so here for it. Seriously, just thank you to all of the guys at that studio. You have done an amazing job reviving this franchise, bringing us back together for more adventures in the grid.
Yeah.
And we look forward to what
also,
you do next.
Dan Lasoc, like, oh my gosh, you really continued.
Yeah, we might have to make another Music of Tron episode just for Identity. I already started
drafting.
We would give the Light Cycle Run track.
Oh yeah, that's right. I already haven't put it on my paper and such, but Dan really nailed it with each of these tracks, and I saw I love the usage of the Son of Flynn rhythm, and it's just that little homage to Legacy, and you can, if the more you hear it, the more you can easily spot the little details from each of the Tron properties. And I love the melody, or the main melody too, because I'm gonna probably mess with it and improv with some of the chords, because there's a lot of things that I'm gonna mess with just to have a little fun, because I know I just love making music. But yes, thank you, Dan Lasoc, for making such an awesome soundtrack. I can't wait to see what else you're gonna bring for the next few games. And the best thing about him is that since Bithell Games is a company based in the United Kingdom, Dan Lasoc is also from the UK. So it just makes the game even more unique. It's a local, small company game, and it's amazing. And Bithell Games really promotes all of these small games to help grow and prosper. So it's so cool, and I'm so excited for what Bithell Games is going to have for these next Tron games.
I'm so excited. Well, unless you have anything else, I think that's all we have for today. We
still have to talk about experiences between the platforms. Since Identity came out on Switch and PC, I did buy both. Personally,
gotta support it.
Personally, I like PC. Definitely, if you're gonna do speedruns of the game, PC is the way to go. With all the defragging is a lot more accessible on PC. With Switch, For me, the joysticks really can sometimes fidget out and it will skip to the next one. So at least that was my like not least favorite thing about Switch. But yeah, I like the PC version more, and you can easily just like rapidly just tap. At least for my key binding settings.
Spam P, yeah. Yeah, it made repeat playthroughs a lot faster, and if you find the defrag mini game repetitive or boring, like I've seen a couple Steam reviews saying that, you can always skip it in the pause menu.
Oh yeah.
Which is very useful on other playthroughs.
Another thing about PC also, if there's achievements.
Yes, there are.
Day 2, I got 100%.
You've already got all of them. Yeah, I'm really close, but I haven't quite.
I will say the last one I did was the Deathless. And I also got like everything else.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yeah, I got like everything else. I got all the codex entries. Oh yes, the codex.
As of recording, only 9% of players on Steam have done a Deathless playthrough.
Hey, 9% gang like so. Anyways, so with the codex entries, keep an eye. Some of them are really well hidden. I had to it took maybe 3 or 4 runs to maybe get the rest of them. And with the defragging mini game, there's also some little mini objectives, and if you do those, you get a disc color. So that way, with like when you do your daily challenges, you can have a different disc color. So mine, like you can have it in purple, green, pink, like all that. And it's cool. Personally, I like the green. Even though I'm supposed to like the orange because occupation, but the green.
You gotta say, yeah.
But the green looks really nice.
The green does look good. This game just shows off in every aspect, but the colors, ooh, they make blue look so pretty.
They did, and I was like, that's your favorite color, so
it is. I'm a simple man.
No.
I see blue, I click the light.
No, it's orange all the way. I don't know what you're talking about. But not burnt.
But yeah, both platforms are really good. I don't really think one is better than the other. I like achievements, so I'm biased toward the Steam version, but the Switch version is just as good.
Yeah, plus and the price of the game.
Get both.
The price of the game is like super affordable compared to the usual $60 titles. Identity's only $15.
Nice and quick, nice and cheap. We did a giveaway for it on the Tron community server about a week ago. You can come in and maybe we'll do another one sometime soon. I actually don't know.
Yeah, and we did make a channel about Identity, and that one you can talk spoilers on.
Yeah. So join the Tron community Discord server if you want to talk to people about Tron Identity.
Or Light Cycle Run, since
got a lovely group of people in there. Yeah, or Light Cycle Run, that just happened. Big hype. We talked a lot about Light Cycle Run in our last episode. With Daily Dose of Tron. That was a fun one. But I think that's all we have for today. As usual, you can follow me at Discs of Tron on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Reedz at Tron Mini Archive on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow the podcast at Tron Lives Podcast on, get this, Instagram and Twitter. And then if you also want to just get directly to us, you can email the podcast at tronlivespodcast. No, it's tronlives2010@gmail.com.
Yeah.
That's all I got for today. And
as always, Tron lives for the good of the uprising.
End of line.